I have spent the last 6 years of my life building something I am proud of. Anderson's Auto Repair is not just a garage. It is my dream, my craft, my purpose. I learned the trade from my dad, and every car that rolls in feels like a puzzle I get to solve. 2 years ago, I met Madison at Brew Haven, a coffee shop on Main Street. She was beautiful, charming, and she seemed genuinely interested when I talked about restoring my vintage Ford F-100. I thought I had found the one. She moved into my apartment after 3 months, and I was happy to support her while she figured out her career path. I covered rent, utilities, groceries, subscriptions, her gym membership, her phone bill, and gave her a credit card for essentials. I trusted her completely. But lately, something felt off. She started talking about lifestyle upgrades and wealthy friends. She stopped asking about my work. Then one Friday night, I came home early with flowers and tacos ready to surprise her. Instead, I stood frozen in my own hallway and overheard her on the phone with her sister laughing as she said she was just using me and could never marry a grease monkey. Before I tell you what happened that night, and trust me, it gets wild, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. If you have ever felt like someone was taking advantage of you, hit that like button. It helps more people find this story. And do not forget to subscribe, because what I am about to share, well, let us just say, revenge can be extremely satisfying when it is done right. All right, let me take you back to that Friday evening when everything I thought I knew came crashing down. 2 years earlier, I walked into Brew Haven to grab my usual coffee before heading to the garage. That is where I first saw Madison. She worked part-time behind the counter while attending community college for marketing. When I paid, she noticed my keys and said, "Is that a vintage Ford truck out there?" "The blue one." I nodded, surprised she noticed. We talked for 20 minutes about cars, and I found myself asking her to coffee on an actual date. She said yes, without hesitation. 3 months into dating, Madison asked if she could move in with me. My one-bedroom apartment in the Riverside district cost $1,200 a month, which I could comfortably afford with the income from my garage. I was making around $4,500 to $5,000 monthly, and business was steady. Madison told me she wanted to drop out of school to focus on finding her real career path. I agreed to cover expenses so she could have time to figure things out. I genuinely believed we were building a future together. The bills started adding up quickly. Beyond the $1,200 rent, I paid $200 for utilities each month, $400 to $500 for groceries, and then came the subscriptions. Netflix Premium at $22.99, Spotify Family at $16.99, the Hulu and Disney Bundle at $19.99. Her gym membership at Pure Fitness cost $89 every month. I covered her phone bill at $75. I gave her a supplementary credit card with a $3,000 limit for essentials, though she routinely maxed it out. I also filled up her Honda Civic with gas, which ran about $150 monthly. Altogether, I was spending around $2,200 to $2,300 on Madison every month. After covering garage expenses and my own needs, I had about $1,500 to $1,800 left for myself. But I did not mind. I thought this was an investment in us. Around 3 months before that awful Friday night, things started to shift. Madison began wearing heavier makeup and buying more clothes, all charged to my credit card. She talked constantly about wanting to move to a nicer apartment downtown and started name-dropping her new friends. "Sarah's boyfriend is a financial analyst," she would say. Or, "Jessica just got engaged to a lawyer." She stopped asking about my day at the garage. When I came home with grease-stained clothes, she would wrinkle her nose and say, "You should shower at the garage." Once, when I tried to hug her after work, she stepped back and said, "Not now, you smell like motor oil." She also started taking phone calls in private, walking out to the balcony and closing the door. When I asked who she was talking to, she smiled and said, "Just my sister girl talk." One evening, I saw her laptop open on the couch. The browser history showed searches for how to meet wealthy men and dating upgrade strategies. When I mentioned it, she laughed it off. "Oh, that is just research for a friend," she said. I wanted to believe her. I loved her. But a quiet unease had started growing in my chest. That particular Friday, I was supposed to work until 9 in the evening. My last appointment, a routine maintenance job on an SUV, canceled at the last minute. I decided to head home early and surprise Madison with a nice evening. I stopped at a bodega near the garage and bought a bouquet of yellow tulips, her favorite flower. Then, I swung by Taco Bell and grabbed her usual order, a Crunchwrap Supreme combo. I felt excited as I drove home, imagining her face when she saw me walk through the door early. I parked my truck in the lot and took the elevator up to the 4th floor. When I reached our apartment door, I unlocked it quietly, wanting to keep the surprise intact. As I stepped inside, I heard her voice coming from the bedroom. The door was slightly open and her words carried clearly down the hallway. I heard my name mentioned and something made me stop. I stood there in the dim hallway, flowers in one hand, tacos in the other, and listened as the person I loved tore my entire world apart. The apartment hallway felt impossibly long in that moment. I was standing about 10 feet from the bedroom door, which was cracked open just enough for me to see Madison's reflection in the mirror. She sat on our bed, dressed in the new loungewear I had just paid $180 for the week before. She held her phone to her ear, completely unaware that I was home. Her voice was casual, almost bored, as she spoke to her sister Natalie. "No, Nat, you do not get it. This is just temporary. I am not going to be stuck with a grease monkey forever." My heart stopped. I felt my hands start to shake, and one of the tulips slipped from the bouquet and fell silently to the floor. But I could not move. I had to hear more. Madison continued. "Yeah, he is nice and all, but come on. He works in a garage. His hands are always dirty. He smells like oil every single day." There was a pause as Natalie said something I could not hear. Then Madison laughed. It was a cold, dismissive sound I had never heard from her before. "I am just using him for now, okay? Free rent, free everything. I have been saving every penny. Once I have enough, I am gone. I am thinking 6 more months tops." I felt sick. My legs went weak and I had to lean against the wall to stay upright. The bag from Taco Bell crinkled in my grip, and I realized I was crushing it. But Madison kept talking, oblivious. "Listen, I have got like 4,000 saved up already. That is enough for first and last month on a nice studio downtown. Then I can actually start dating properly." She paused again, then laughed even harder. "What about him, please? You think I am going to marry a guy who spends his days under cars? Can you imagine introducing him to our friends? Oh, this is Andre, he fixes mufflers." Her voice dripped with mockery. "No way. I need someone with an actual career. Investment banker, lawyer, someone in tech. You know, someone who wears a suit to work, not coveralls covered in grease." Natalie must have said something about me being a good person, because Madison scoffed. "Yeah, he is sweet, I will give him that. And honestly, kind of convenient. He pays for everything, does not ask questions, just happy I am here. It is perfect." She shifted on the bed, getting more comfortable. "I have been networking, you know. Going to those happy hours downtown, the ones near the financial district. Met a few interesting guys. One is a portfolio manager at Vanguard. Another is in corporate law." My stomach turned. Wednesday nights. She told me she went to book club on Wednesday nights. Madison laughed again. "Andre thinks I am at book club on Wednesdays. Book club, as if." There was another pause. "He will not find out. He is too trusting. Too simple, you know. He does not check the credit card statements. He does not ask where I go. He just works and comes home tired. It is almost too easy." The final blow came next. The second I get a better option, I am done. Probably will not even give him 2 weeks' notice. Just pack and leave while he is at that precious garage of his. She sighed contentedly. "All right, I gotta go. He will be home in like an hour and a half. Need to look like the loving girlfriend. Love you, sis. Bye. I heard her hang up the phone. She stood from the bed and turned toward the door. That is when she saw me. Her entire body went rigid. The color drained from her face, leaving her pale and shocked. She stared at me standing in the doorway holding wilted flowers and a crushed bag of tacos. "Andre," she stammered. How long have you been—" "Long enough," I said. My voice sounded strange even to me. Calm, flat, empty. No, wait, that was not what it sounded like. I was just venting to my sister. "You know how girls talk," I cut her off. $4,000, 6 more months. Portfolio manager at Vanguard, book club on Wednesdays. I recited her words back to her like a list. Each one felt like swallowing glass. Madison tried to step toward me, her hands up in a pleading gesture. "Baby, please let me explain." I set the flowers and the bag of tacos down on the small table in the hallway. "I do not want to hear it," I said quietly. "I do not want to hear another word from you tonight." I walked past her out to the balcony and sat down in one of the cheap plastic chairs we had bought at a discount store. Madison followed me, trying to talk, but I did not respond. I stared out at the city lights, my mind racing through 2 years of memories that suddenly looked completely different. After an hour of her attempts to engage me, she finally gave up and went into the bedroom, closing the door behind her. I sat on that balcony for 3 hours. I thought about every moment we had shared. Every time she said she loved me. Every time she refused to hug me when I came home dirty from work. Every Wednesday night she said she had book club. Every time she talked about her new friends and their successful boyfriends. It all made sense now. I was never her partner. I was her meal ticket, her placeholder until someone better came along. By the time the sun started to rise Saturday morning, I was not sad anymore. I was not even angry. I was done. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. I did not sleep that night. At 6 in the morning, I opened my laptop and started making a plan. First, I went through every bank statement and credit card bill from the past 2 years. I took screenshots of everything. The credit card Madison used showed a balance of $2,847 just from the past month alone. I calculated the total amount I had spent on her over 2 years. Rent, food subscriptions, her phone, her gym gas, and all those credit card purchases. It came out to $54,600. Next, I researched tenant rights in our state. I discovered that because Madison's name was not on the lease agreement, she was legally considered a guest, not a tenant. That meant I had the right to ask her to leave with minimal notice, especially given the circumstances. I called my landlord, Mr. Harrison, and explained the situation. He was sympathetic and confirmed that Madison had no legal claim to the apartment. He even offered to support me if I needed documentation. Then I made a list. Every subscription, every bill, every service I was paying for that benefited her. I wrote down exactly what I needed to do, and in what order. This was not about being cruel. This was about taking back control of my life. I was going to execute everything in one day. Madison stayed in the bedroom all morning. At 8, she knocked on the balcony door, but I told her I was busy, and we would talk later. I was not ready yet. At 9 in the morning, I started. First, I logged into Netflix. I deleted Madison's profile, the one where she was halfway through season 3 of some reality show she loved. Then, I changed the password. Next, I opened Spotify and removed her from the family plan. Her workout playlist with 847 songs vanished from her account. Then, I canceled the Hulu and Disney bundle entirely. $19.99 a month saved. I called Pure Fitness next. I explained to the manager that I needed to cancel my girlfriend's membership immediately. The guy on the phone sounded sympathetic. "You are not the first, buddy," he said. The membership was terminated effective immediately. $89 a month saved. Then, I called AT&T and removed Madison's phone line from my family plan. Her number would be disconnected by the end of the day. $75 a month saved. The hardest call was to the bank. I reported Madison's supplementary credit card as lost and requested immediate cancellation. The representative processed it right away. The card would be declined within 2 hours. I agreed to pay off the current balance of $2,847 one final time. But after that, I was done. At 10:30, Madison emerged from the bedroom. She saw me sitting at the dining table with my laptop open and my phone in hand. "What are you doing?" she asked nervously. I looked up at her. "Taking my life back." Her eyes widened, but I did not give her time to respond. I had already printed out the next document. It was a notice to vacate addressed to her dated that morning. The letter stated clearly that she had 24 hours to collect her belongings and leave the premises. I cited the fact that she was not on the lease and that her presence was no longer wanted by the leaseholder, namely me. I slid the paper across the table toward her. Madison picked it up with shaking hands. As she read, her face went through a series of emotions: shock, disbelief, anger, panic. "Andre, please, can we just talk about this?" she said, her voice breaking. "There is nothing to talk about," I replied. "I heard everything I needed to hear last night." She tried a different approach. Tears started streaming down her face. "I did not mean those things. I was just frustrated. You know I love you." I shook my head. "For 6 more months until you found a portfolio manager." The tears stopped. Anger flashed in her eyes. "You cannot just kick me out. I live here." "No, you do not," I said calmly. "Check the lease. Your name is not on it. You are a guest, and guests can leave." She switched tactics again, this time to bargaining. "What if I pay you back? I can get a job." "I can—" "You have had 2 years to get a job," I interrupted. "You chose not to." Finally, she tried guilt. "Where am I supposed to go?" I stood up from the table and looked her directly in the eye. "Call your sister, the one you were planning your exit strategy with." Madison stared at me, realizing she had no leverage left. "Fine," she spat. "I will pack my stuff." "You have 4 hours," I told her, "and I will be here the entire time." For the next several hours, I sat in the living room while Madison packed her belongings in the bedroom. She kept trying to take things that I had paid for. At one point, she walked out carrying the television. "I bought that," I said. "Put it down." She argued that she used it. "With my Netflix account," I reminded her. "Which you do not have anymore." She put the television back. She tried to take the coffee maker. I pointed to the kitchen drawer. "Receipt is right there if you want to check." She left it. When she reached for the Nintendo Switch, I did not even have to say anything. She saw the look on my face and moved on. By 6 in the evening, Madison had 3 suitcases and several shopping bags packed. She called an Uber using a friend's phone since her own line had been disconnected. The car arrived 10 minutes later. She stood at the door, bags in hand, and turned back to me one last time. "You are going to regret this," she said coldly. "You will never find someone like me." I looked at her, this person I thought I knew, and felt absolutely nothing. "That is exactly what I am hoping for." She walked out. I locked the door behind her, added the chain, and stood there for a moment in the silence. Later that night, I called a locksmith and had the locks changed. Mr. Harrison had already approved it. The emergency lock change cost me $180. It was worth every penny. The first week after Madison left felt strange. The apartment seemed emptier, even though she had not taken much with her. I spent an entire Saturday deep cleaning every room, scrubbing away any trace of her presence. I bought a new coffee maker, some houseplants, and a fresh set of bedsheets. It felt like cleansing the space of negative energy. Emotionally, I was surprised at how I felt. I was not as sad as I expected. Mostly, I just felt tired and numb. There were moments when anger would flare up usually, when I remembered something she had said on that phone call. But more than anything, I felt relieved. It was like I had been carrying a heavy weight for 2 years and finally set it down. Madison tried to contact me several times. Text messages came from unfamiliar numbers. "Can we please talk?" I blocked each one. She sent a long email with an elaborate apology, claiming she had made a terrible mistake and did not mean any of it. I deleted it without finishing. She even showed up at the garage one afternoon. I saw her car pull into the lot, and I immediately called over Mr. Thompson, one of my fellow mechanics. She took one look at both of us standing there and drove away. She did not come back. As the days passed, I started to realize something important. I had escaped a trap. Madison never loved me. She loved what I could provide. And the more I thought about it, the more I questioned whether I had truly loved her, or just the idea of her. The version of her I thought existed. In the first 3 months after she left, I saved $6,600. Money that would have gone to supporting someone who saw me as nothing more than a convenience. I used $2,847 to pay off the last credit card bill. Then, I invested $2,500 into new diagnostic equipment for the garage. I put $1,000 into an emergency fund. The rest, I spent on myself. The new equipment made a noticeable difference. My garage started running more efficiently, and word of mouth brought in more customers. My monthly income increased to $5,500 to $6,000. I even hired a part-time helper, a 19-year-old college student named Marcus, who was eager to learn the trade. He reminded me of myself at that age. I reconnected with friends I had drifted away from during my relationship with Madison. My buddy Jake, a firefighter, came over for beers one night. "Man, I never liked her anyway," he admitted. "You seem lighter now. Like yourself again." I joined a local car club and started attending weekend meetups and road trips. It felt good to be around people who appreciated cars as much as I did. I also started going to a budget gym, nothing fancy, just $45 a month. It was a far cry from pure fitness, but it worked for me. My family was supportive throughout everything. My dad, who taught me the mechanic trade before he retired, shook his head when I told him the full story. "Son, you dodged a bullet." My mom invited me over for Sunday dinners, cooking all my favorite meals and fussing over me like I was a kid again. My younger sister Zoe, who was still in college, was blunt about it. I never trusted her, Andre. She had fake energy. Through all of this, I learned some hard lessons. I learned that my worth is not defined by someone else's opinion of my job. Being a mechanic is not less than being a lawyer or a banker. I work with my hands. I build, I fix, I create. There is honor in that. I also learned that actions speak louder than words. Madison said she loved me, but her actions told a completely different story. Real love is respect, support, partnership. Love is not a transaction. I realized I had been too trusting, ignoring red flags that were there all along. It is okay to trust people, but it is also okay to pay attention when something feels wrong. And I learned about financial boundaries. In future relationships, I would be clear from the start. Supporting a partner is fine, but funding their entire life while they plan to leave you is not partnership. Most importantly, I learned that I should never settle for someone who does not celebrate who I am. Madison was ashamed of my job. She saw me as beneath her. The right person will be proud of me regardless of my job title. I deserve that. Everyone does. 6 months after Madison left, my life looked completely different. Anderson's Auto Repair was thriving. My monthly income had climbed to $6,500 to $7,000. Marcus was now a full-time employee, and I was training him in advanced diagnostics. I even had plans to expand and add another bay to the garage. On the personal front, I started dating casually. No rush, no pressure. Through the car club, I met someone interesting. Her name is Samantha, and she is an elementary school teacher. She is 27, drives an old Jeep Wrangler, and does her own basic maintenance. We have been on 3 dates so far, and it feels easy, natural. She asked about my work on our first date, genuinely curious. "That is really cool," she said. "I wish I could fix cars." It was such a simple thing, but it meant the world to me. I am still in the same apartment, but now it feels like mine. I decorated it the way I wanted. Vintage car posters on the walls. A coffee table I made from an old toolbox. It is my space, my sanctuary. Looking back, people sometimes ask if I regret those 2 years with Madison. Honestly, no. I do not regret the time. I regret not seeing the truth sooner. But that experience taught me something invaluable. I learned what I will not tolerate. I learned that my worth is not determined by someone else's opinion of my career. I learned that being a grease monkey means I am skilled, hardworking, and independent. Madison thought she was using me, but in reality, she did me the biggest favor. She showed me exactly who not to be with. She showed me that I deserve better, and that knowledge that is worth every penny I spent. I am not angry anymore. I am not bitter. I am free. Free from someone who did not value me. Free from trying to prove myself to someone who had already decided I was not enough. And that freedom, it is the best thing that ever happened to me. If you are in a relationship where you feel like you are not enough, where your partner does not celebrate who you are, ask yourself this: are you being loved or are you being used? Because there is a difference. And you deserve to know which one it is before you spend 2 years and $54,000 finding out the hard way. Sometimes, the best revenge is not making them regret losing you. It is realizing you never lost anything at all. You just finally stopped carrying dead weight. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone took advantage of your kindness? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, smash that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this story to others who might need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories about standing up for yourself and finding your worth. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder that they deserve better. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your value is not determined by how others treat you. Stay strong, know your worth, and never settle for less than you deserve. Take care.